Hi, everyone. I'm James Protin. I'd like to give a special thank you to our sponsors for the podcast, Candlelore's Barking Beauties, with 5 locations throughout the region.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Candelore, owner of Candlelore's Barking Beauties, where our salon is your salon. We have 5 convenient locations, no appointment needed. All breeds welcome. Any size dog. We are open Tuesday through Saturday from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. We have 5 convenient locations: Elizabeth, White Oak, Finleyville, Monongahela, and Irwin. Love to have you visit us.
He wants to compete with you.
Yeah, exactly. What?
I appreciate that.
I need to hear more about this. I'll tell you about it. No. We're going to talk about this now. Come on over here.
See, I pull this stuff out.
Exactly. This is the first I've heard of this.
Here's what I'm stymied by. What the heck is a nice guy like this going to talk about? Give me one thing you'll talk about. Tell me one without revealing your secrets.
Rescuing turtles. You know what? He's a volunteer fireman. You know what he did? He's a picture on the front page of the local newspaper. Rescued a turtle at Mingo Park.
I think I saw
Saved
that.
it. Yeah, that was him.
I didn't realize it was you. That was a
He's
nice
famous.
looking turtle.
Yeah, it was a big turtle. I mean, yeah.
It was about like this, right?
Yeah.
See, I know a couple things. I'm observant. Well, if you want to talk turtles, I'm cool with that because some of them can be 300 years and all this other stuff, and they get big. You don't even know who their mama is. She puts all these eggs out for them.
Yeah, they don't know.
What do they know?
They don't know.
They're getting eaten up by seagulls and all kinds
alligators.
of fish.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and people, they want to make breakfast. Who knows?
Okay,
Wow.
well,
I'm
welcome.
glad we're warmed up.
Welcome to the podcast. As you probably have gathered, my guest doesn't need any introduction. He is the talking machine himself, Mr. Alan Levine. And thanks for coming, brother. I appreciate it, man. This is great.
Brother, I'm so glad I met you at that little get-together with Kelly Frost and Peel.
That's exactly
at the
right.
Rivers Club.
Isn't that a great organization?
Yes.
I love Kelly.
I've been friends with you on Facebook, and some of my friends I'm closer, and I'm glad I'm closer with you. And I got this special invite the other day, and I couldn't miss it because I wanted to find out what the heck you're doing. I never saw one of your interviews, and I know you can write because you write prolifically from the heart.
I appreciate that.
And
I
respect that. We all go through things in life,
Sure.
and a lot of people don't like to talk about it.
Right.
But I like to get it out of people so they can inspire other people like you. You may have issues, and so do we.
Well, and you know, the thing of it is, Nick was perfectly content being the executive producer and doing all the editing and everything. Now you show up, and all of a sudden he's got his own podcast.
I know.
Let
me explain something.
I don't get it.
I had a great career at the Pittsburgh Press Post-Gazette. Young and old liked working with me.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'd work a 15-hour shift. And one guy, one of the famous quotes, we'll get into some other stuff later, he goes, "Hey, Al, you're still smiling and talking. I've worked with you on a double shift." And I go, "How was it, Jack?" And he goes, "Very interesting." And that's what I did
There you go.
30 years ago.
There you go.
So I just expanded it now, and I respect what you're doing.
I appreciate it. And likewise. It's
I'm
mutual.
honored to be here. Thank you for the platitudes here. I appreciate that type of stuff. And a little story on Nick. He was working at a local pizza shop. I don't know if I can mention the name, but Olive Oil's Pizzeria at Hillcrest Shopping Center.
Probably shouldn't mention it.
Well, you guys can cut. And he actually waited on me because when they're younger kids. And then when they get older, they get a little taller and maybe grow some fuzz or whatever. So I knew who he was.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, he remembered that. He told me that story.
I know.
Yeah, he told me that story. So it was his first brush with stardom. I mean, think about it. As a young guy's probably starstruck, and then all of a sudden here comes the talking machine himself, and it's like,
well, I'm a modest man, so there's no competition. I just do this, and I'm pretty good at talking, I've been told. And then at my advanced age, 66. A couple women lately have told me I'm handsome. So
Wow, cool.
for all you younger guys, why would I argue with a woman at this age?
You can't. They know what they're talking about.
Do you want to start the interview, or did we do it?
We started about 10 minutes ago.
I'm a little naive here.
So you've been on local TV for a long time. What, over 700 shows?
Yes, October 11th was my founding debut in 2011.
Okay.
And we did a show with 4 guys, and we started it. And I was on TV once before. Maybe you've heard of the Meadows Racing Network with Roger Houston.
Absolutely.
Well, believe it or not, my ex-wife and I owned racehorses at the Meadows starting in '83.
Cool.
So I became known at the Meadows for a few different things. And Roger Houston asked me to be a guest on his show, and I became friends with him. He's been on my Pittsburgh Sportsline show a couple times.
Okay.
And he just did a talking machine show a couple weeks ago. And he has 182,000 races he's announced. And he just turned 80 the other day.
Wow.
And there's no quit. He's over in
still going.
Ireland doing races there. So
That's
you
hard to
talk
believe.
about inspirations in my life,
That's
let
hard
alone
to believe.
you, him, and now Nick. Wait till he starts this podcast.
Oh, yeah. Well,
We're not going to mention what he talked about.
We're out of business then. I mean, how's anybody going to compete with Nick when he had a podcast?
Here's what he's going to do. You can have your own, as they call it, niche. You
Okay,
can just
sure,
do your
sure.
niche.
Okay.
And he'll tell you, James, just stay cool there.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. Stay
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah, don't cross the double yellow.
Right. So
That's how he operates. I
you
can see
tell.
that.
I mean, look at it.
He's
Look at him. It's
straight up. And
Yeah.
I said his work's done. Look at him. He's laughing at what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
He's
thank
not
you.
paying attention to the cameras. Just nothing. He's just
I'm going to sip some green tea that you bought me.
There
here.
you go.
Tell them where we're at.
We are at Chico Bocello in Cannonsburg, right on Pike Street. Really cool in the Arc building, and this is fantastic. Not only did
The owner, Lisa's great.
Lisa is fantastic. Her partner Nancy is awesome.
I met her too
Right.
at their other place.
And you were down in Washington
and
at that
Main
isn't that cool?
Street, 239 Main Street. Numbers stick in my head, so I'm a numbers guy.
There you go.
700 plus shows, 239.
650
Main Street.
guests, 239, maybe
Yeah,
111
yeah.
Pike
Well,
Street.
I may have hit 1,000 because I stopped counting. So I may have to update as I do things.
Well,
but I have a coming.
we've had 27.
Nice.
So we're right behind you.
Well, you just started.
We're right there.
Last April, I do other shows. Pittsburgh Sportsline.
Yeah, tell me about the shows. Pittsburgh Sportsline. I'm aware of. Tell me what you got going on.
Okay, then during COVID, my director goes, "Hey Al, you can't go to bars and restaurants like you did." I was at Atria's PNC Park, Duke's Rib House and Grill, did shows at the Meadows on Friday nights. He goes, "You can't really go out with COVID. Think about interviewing people, make it anybody, not just sports people." So I go, "Hey, that's brilliant." Now, I'm a smart guy, and I'm brilliant.
Absolutely.
So last March, I come up with the Talking Machine Show, a 29-minute show. I just did my 30-second show before my Pittsburgh Sportsline show promoting a band called Crash Army. They're in competition with the Hollywood Bowl. And they go, "Could you help us out?" I go, "I'll do a short Talking Machine show." It was under 15 minutes. They played 2 songs, got interviews, and they were number 2. If you're number 1, you win $10,000 in possible recording studio contracts.
Okay.
If you're in the top 4, you just get the 2 recording opportunities.
Yeah.
And they played out there in LA a week before, so we had to do it the night of my show, Tuesday night. We got it in outside in front of our library in Bethel Park. And it looks great. It's up there on YouTube.
Cool.
And last night, as far as I know, they were in second place closing. I didn't get any word that they won. But that's what
cool.
I do there. So the Talking Machine show expanded to that. Then during COVID, all the negativity out there.
Sure.
Like,
absolutely.
Because of my anti-remission drugs and being immunocompromised, I got 2 vaccines. I got double boosted, and I got Evusheld to be protected.
Sure.
Because my immune system gets destroyed, so my kidney doesn't get rejected. And there's a 2-year probation period where you could have rejection. I passed with flying colors.
Awesome.
So I cook meals, and I was doing 2 fish meals a week. And I bake the fish. I have a whole routine, do it in my kitchen. I'm posting it up. People are going, "Are you a gourmet chef?" And I go, no, I just cook like this. They go, your presentations are like perfect. I put vegetables all around.
There you go.
I use ancient grains, so all the, people that like that stuff. I have farro. Yesterday I cooked, or Wednesday I had my Speedy Gourmet show. I had pearl barley because there's good fiber in it. And I do stuff like that, and quinoa, I can pronounce these things.
So now Pittsburgh Sportsline, the Talking Machine Show, Speedy Gourmet.
Mm-hmm. And Speedy Gourmet came out of, my director goes, my wife would like to know, how long does it take you to cook? I go, only 20, 25 minutes, and I clean up when I'm going. He goes, she'd like your recipes. I go, I post up what I cook, and I do, and I bake.
I see it, yeah.
I bake it, so if you can't follow my recipes, some people said you should do a book. I go to Facebook. So I created a page. Unlike you, I have the Talking Machine Show page, and I have the new Talking Machine Show, every show, all 32 of them. And then
we have a podcast page.
Okay, well
but you ought to start paying attention before you come on the show. You've never seen one. You don't know. You got to start paying attention.
Folks, if you see how I operated, I got him to tell me for the first time where it's all at. No offense, man. But it worked perfectly. Some call me smooth. You're the guest. You figure out whether I was. But thank you. Yeah. So, and that's part of. Can I say busting balls on this?
Yeah,
okay.
You can. Yes.
That's part of busting balls.
We're okay.
Yeah. So the director said, that'd be great. He goes, would you do a show? He goes, how's your kitchen? I go, it's average size. And he goes, could we do a show with cameras? I go, yeah, I could be 5 to 10 feet away. As Nick knows, look how he arranged it. We're about 11 and a half feet away here in the chair, and I'm away from the mic, so we're good. And he goes, I got a name for it, the Speedy Gourmet. And I just did my show on Wednesday was one of my records, 21-22 minutes. And I cooked the whole meal.
A whole meal.
Full meal. It was wild-caught haddock. I advise no farm-raised fish. Don't buy any fish from China. Get wild-caught fish, and it's healthier for you. There's less mercury, and they have pesticides and the crap that the fish make. They eat it because they're in a farm and they're all jammed together. Let them be wild, and then they're fair trade and they're caught right. Those are my healthy tips because it's all about your health. We want to live. We're baby boomers. We're never dying, so we need to live.
Do you see how important it is to pay attention to what we're telling you? So all this time you've been hanging out with me, you've been ignoring me and all this great advice.
Well, let me explain something. Family and friends sometimes don't listen to their dad, their mother, their brother, their sister, aunts, and uncles. But then a third party that's worked with my dad all the time, I'd tell him something the year before, and he'd go, hey, Alan, so-and-so told me about this, and I'm going to do it. I go, Dad, that was a year ago. I told you. He goes, no, you never told me.
No, you never told me.
And my dad's birthday is today in heaven.
God bless him.
He would have been 91 years old. You'd have loved him.
Wow.
I posted he had more friends than I do.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
And he was just one of the greatest.
My dad was the same way.
My dad was a legendary. He's a Jewish Sports Hall of Fame referee.
Really?
And he got in how many referees get in the Hall of Fame?
Right,
and
right.
How about the sports family I'm in? My uncle was named Shmuley Levine. They both grew up in the Hill District. Myron Cope used to talk about him on his radio show that he was the best basketball player in Pittsburgh. He was like Bob Cousy of the Boston Celtics.
Really?
He's in the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. Me, I'm just a red-haired stepchild. I'm on the outside looking in. I played baseball and football and did well. But living up in a family, that's why I love sports.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, anybody that's not in sports, get your kids into it because you learn about how to do things and overcome
you learn about life.
And issues. And it's helped me in my whole life. I'm not going to get into all of it, but I've done sales, I've done networking, I've done events. You name it. If somebody says, can you do it? Guess what my answer is?
Yeah.
I go, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll even have a story for you about when I graduated high school that'll blow your mind on an entrepreneur thing. But we'll get back to Pittsburgh Sportsline. I got so many things that you could see. I call us entrepreneurs squirrels. Each shiny object we go to.
Right.
But I'm the guy that comes back. Look, I guided you back to Pittsburgh Sportsline.
We're back to Pittsburgh Sportsline. That was perfect.
Yeah. So
it was beautiful.
We'll go there. Well, what happened, I have to digress a little to give how I ended up doing the show.
Okay.
When I left the Post-Gazette, I had 36 years there.
Right.
We'll get into that segment after. And I didn't know what to do, and I was going through a divorce, and a good friend of mine, an older gentleman, Army vet, was helping handicapped divorced men. So I joined a father's group, and he was giving me some guidance, and he goes, "You're going to take that buyout," because I had known him a few years, and I go, "Yeah, I'm going to take a buyout. I'm leaving the Post-Gazette. I'm not sure what I'll do, but I know I'll do something." And he goes, "Would you want to sell newspaper ads for this neighborhood Gazette that this guy Nick owns right in Bethel Park?" So he goes, "Meet me at the American Legion. We'll meet him." You know, had one drink, and we're talking. Nick goes, "You're amazing with what you're doing. When can you start?" I go, "When do you want me?" He goes, "How about tomorrow?" So I started the next day. 6 weeks later, I told him, "I don't go to the North Hills or know it that much, but I cross rivers anyhow." 6 weeks, I had 90% of the ads sold. We were ready to produce. He gave a couple ads from his South Hills edition. We put it up in 6 weeks.
Wow.
So I worked for him for, a couple months, 2-3 months, and I met this guy, Mike, who did horror films and different things. So I told him, I started a new edition. We can not only give you South Hills, but North Hills. He was impressed, even though he was a tough guy and a bit of a character. He goes, "You're a Yinzer." I go, "Yeah, I love the Steelers, the Pirates, and Penguins, but when they do bad, I don't." And, we're talking like that.
Yeah.
So he called me up a month after I got his ad, and he goes, "Hey, you got a pretty good voice. Would you want to do a TV show like I'm doing in Pittsburgh?" And he goes, "I got a good friend of mine, Smoking Jim Frazier. We could start a show together." He goes, "What do you think?" I go, I was on Roger Houston's show for like 3 hours with horses. He beat me with the handicapping because my horse lost a race, or I would have beat him. And I said I had a great time, and I didn't realize Roger was directing it, because different things, he'd make comments and help guide them. Right. And it was just a lot of fun. I said something like that would be cool. So he called me up a couple weeks. He goes, "Do you want to do politics or sports?" I go, "I love politics because I read history. So I want to do that eventually, but let's do sports. It's less controversial at times." This was 11 years ago.
Right.
So look what happened since.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to digress or current talks. So we'll leave that here.
Yeah. We'll let that one die.
Notice, Nick, I can hit a period. So I'm sorry we're focusing on Nick, but I need a sip after that.
Well, but you know what? You have to, because he kind of dominates the room. It's.
I'm rarely intimidated.
He is who he is.
I'm rarely intimidated, but I'm close to it.
Yeah. Isn't it? You can feel it, right?
It's a presence right in my face
right now. This is
now.
what I deal with. That's why I try not to look
But
that direction.
He has a nice smile, so I respect that. So he called me up, and I go, "Okay." He goes, "Come up with a name." So I talked the next day. I go, "Pittsburgh Sportsline." He goes, "That's terrible." I go, "We're in Pittsburgh." I go, "We're talking sports." And I like when they put up like this sports line and stuff like that. I go, "Make it all one word." He goes, "That's even dumber." I go, "Well, I'm going with it." He goes, "Okay." So he goes, "I'm going to get you head coach from CMU, Claudio Rosano, and me, you, and Smoking Jim. I want you to meet Smoking Jim." He lives in Dormont, so I meet him. Jim's a character. We hit it off, knowing sports, basketball. And then he goes, "I may have seen your dad referee City League basketball games. He had a nickname called Tiptoe and Tippy. So he would be there in all these games."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I may have seen him because I went to a lot of city games." I go, "That's cool." So we had a bond. We hit it off perfectly. Mike was like sort of standoffish and like thinks he knows everything. Well, guess what? I don't know anything, and I'm willing to learn.
Right.
That's how simple it is.
That's what it's all about.
And you can argue how smart, how dumb you are. I don't really care. If you can talk to me or listen to me like Nick is, then we're good, and that's what counts. And so he goes, "We're gonna do like an hour show." I go, "You think?" And he goes, "Yeah, we'll do it live." I go, "That'd be cool."
Okay.
He goes, "We're going to go to BPTV, meet the director, Dave Cable, who's now my friend." And I have to give this intro with him. We go there, and Mike's like a bully type of guy. He would tell me he was in the Navy on a ship, and he had 49 kills. Now he's out. He's in bad health. He goes, "Hey, I got a question." I'm like, "Go ahead." He goes, "If you were in the Navy and had 49 kills like me, would you want the 50th? I go, "My man, thank you for your service. I'd be glad I'm done. I don't want that 50th kill." So you understand that. Guess what he said? He goes, I still want to get that 50th kill.
No way.
So I'm like, 1 red flag, 2 red flags personality. So we go into the director, and he goes, don't worry about saying anything. I'll go there. Well, he had told me I could direct and host a show because I live in Bethel Park.
Okay.
Did I mention he lived in Dormont?
Yeah.
So does he think that I don't listen? So he acted like it's his show. He goes, I want to do this. I want to do that. And I go, no, we want to have a 1-hour show, live show. Dave Cable has a real business-like dour look. Just dour.
Yeah.
Like you can't crack it. The facade is like,
you just can't do it. Yeah.
knocking on the wall. Pardon me, Nick. I went off the camera. But that's how he presented himself. He broke Mike down. He couldn't even ask questions and tell what we were going to do. So I look at Mike, and he's just looking there. And I go, hey, Dave, because he goes, what do you guys really want to do? I go, a 1-hour show, prime time, every week. He goes, first off, we haven't had a live show in 10 years, and we have volunteers. I don't know if we can do it every week. I said, Dave, I'm not bragging, but a lot of people like working with me, and I make friends. I'm not even worried. He goes, okay, but if we have problems, you can't do it each week. I'm like, that's cool. He goes, what day? I go, you tell us what would be good for you. We want a prime time. He goes, what, between like 6 and 8? I go, yeah. He goes, how about Monday? I go, you got Monday night football. You got other different things.
Sure.
First day after the weekend, maybe not. What about Tuesday? He goes, how about 7 o'clock to 8 on Tuesday nights? I said, we're in.
There you go. Simple as that.
Simple as that. And then I got more drama for you. Nick, get ready for this. We go in.
You might want to sit down there.
We have 4 seats. And this Mike contacted Coach Matheny with Bethel Park football, legendary coach.
Sure. Yep.
We meet with him, and he brings a pretty girl to help with the interviews. And I go, are you interviewing? He goes, no, you are. So I do the interview with the pretty girl and Matheny and ask different things. And, we were done with it. He wasn't really receptive to doing the interview, which I had to pull some teeth. But first show. So we have that to put into the show. So we're already starting to expand on the first show. So we come in with 4 guys. Claudio, the coach at CMU, couldn't make it. So some young kid comes in from out of the blue, and he's on the show, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? So Mike's in the first seat. I'm in the second, Smoking Jim and the young guy. I even forget his name from our first show. And that's how impressive he was.
He knocked it out of the park.
Did that slip out? Yeah. So we're going to do the interview with Mike introducing the show. It's all set to do that for a month now.
Okay. Guess
what he says 2 minutes before the show? He goes, can you do the intro, Al? I look at him, and I'm like, this is strike 3 for my man.
She's out.
I go, yes. So it's the only show where I'm not smiling at the beginning because I didn't know what I was going to say.
Right.
So I do the intro to Pittsburgh Sportsline, and that kicked off our first show, and it's been good ever since.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome. And it's a great show. It's fun. It's fun.
Here's my theme. Everybody in the Pittsburgh, Washington area is an expert on Steelers.
Everybody.
Pirates, Penguins. Guess what we get paid to be experts? Nothing. So I look at it as like a fan. I respect your opinions, but we got billionaires deciding what we do, and they criticize them like everything. Like some didn't even play sports. I have people go, did you play sports? I go, I graduated Keystone Oaks, 1974. Played baseball, was a good pitcher. I looked like Mike Piazza, the catcher, but I was a good pitcher. I'd strike you out no matter what. And then I played center for high school, and I got recruited to play small college football from even CMU, Westminster, Allegheny. Junietta, I was signed to go there, and we'll get to that story a little bit later, and play small college football. So I even show my 74 pics with me in a uniform, and they're like, you played football? And I go, yeah. People don't listen, or they ignore it, or in their own mind. And that's what I'm talking about. Sports people.
Sure.
Here's what they see.
They have tunnel vision.
Yes.
It's just like those 657,000 people that were in Three River Stadium and witnessed the Immaculate Reception.
I thought it was 659.
Might have been.
Yeah.
Might have been.
Yeah. Because it wasn't even on TV in Pittsburgh. And I heard it on the radio.
Everybody.
And I mentioned Myron Cope before. And he announced the Steelers.
Oh, Cope was the best.
Guess who missed?
Legend.
Guess who missed what he named the Immaculate Reception? Myron Cope was in the elevator going down for interviews after the game.
Wasn't he with the Chief? Wasn't he with Rudy Senior?
No, he was. Well, yeah, going down.
Going down there.
That's where he was, but he left the broadcast booth and he missed it. He didn't even know they won the game until we got down there.
That's amazing stuff.
So when you think about it, so how did we all become experts?
That's exactly right.
That's
a Western PA thing. We know pretty much everything.
You can't question
it's like,
it.
Yeah. So we talked last night on the phone.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And one of the things that I love about your story and is the inspirational part of it, aside from all of the stuff you do, is your transplant story. Okay, and before we get sidetracked on all the other stuff.
Well, I'm glad you tunneled in on that, and I'm glad we talked because I knew you'd give me some guidance because Nick's going like this, hurry up.
I know.
We were only supposed to do a 3-minute podcast.
He's got some place to be, probably. It's like, he's probably got to go do his own podcast. That's why he's probably got people coming in.
Let me explain. He's talking about it, but he's not one of those doers like we are. He got to work on it. How am I doing on inspiring?
You're awesome. Spot on. So but one of the things that got me was you didn't even know you had an issue. You felt good. I mean, you were healthy. In your mind, you were healthy.
Well, in my body too, I was walking every day. I've done yoga for years. I eat right. I drink green tea. No sinus infections. Thanks for the green tea. In 22 years. Because I'm into healthy stuff. I'm into holistic things.
And I need to do that because I get sinus infections.
Well,
so I'm gonna
three
try
cups a day, each day. Like I do it morning, afternoon, and evening. And it doesn't keep you up. There's only like 35, 40 milligrams of caffeine, which is about a fifth or a sixth of what coffee is.
Right. Oh,
so
yeah.
You could drink 6 of these and it'd be like 1 cup of coffee.
Right.
But health-wise, drink 3. That's how simple it is.
Okay.
So knowing how healthy I am, I got to put the age thing out here because that's part of the story. I turned 60, have a strong daughter named Casey. I was a single parent, raised her not to be needy, and she works for an IT company, just had a great wedding. She laid it all out from the beginning to the end, the dress. Her bridesmaids helped her through it all. She got a great husband. I approve. He passed every test that I gave him. So salute to Brian. And she's strong. She goes to me when I'm 60, Dad, you better go see a doctor. How long's it been? I go 5 years since Pap died. My PCP, Pap died of sepsis after a heart valve replacement. I'm upset with the doctor. I'm never going back to him. She goes, Dad, you got to go. That's no excuse. Because I always tell people if you can't answer yes or no, it's an excuse. So she hit me with my own thing. Bang, right in the head. My son got out of the Navy 3 years before. And he's hearing this, and he goes, Dad, what's wrong with you? You are old. You better go to the doctor, get that, PCP straightened out and get your physical.
Get situated, yeah.
So I'm so stubborn that I'll out-stubborn just about anybody, but my record for this was 9 months. So I made it to my daughter's PCP 5 minutes from my house. That was a great selling point, Casey.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate
But it still took you 9 months to go that 5 minutes.
Exactly. I even drove by where they did it, being in
Like
Bethel Park.
day, yeah.
And Drew, thanks to him, he's strong too, being a Navy veteran. Appreciate his service.
Absolutely.
And I go in there, doctor goes, you look pretty good. We'll test you and, get the blood work and everything. Takes the blood pressure, takes this, height, weight, all these things. Then he comes back with the blood test and he goes, hey, Al, you got some blood pressure. We can work with that. You got some cholesterol. We can work with that. But you have stage 4 renal failure. And I'm like, my jaw dropped because
stage 4.
Yeah, you start talking beyond 1, 2, or 3.
That's serious stuff. Yeah.
And it's with your kidneys because I know renal. I've talked about that.
Sure.
And I go, well, what's that mean? He goes, your kidneys are functioning at 12 to 15%. Do you have any pain in your back? Do you have trouble peeing? Sorry to all you fans that don't like talking about pee, unless you have younger kids or older people. So they asked me, and I go, I'm fine.
Everybody does it.
Yeah. So, you can't get away from it.
No, it happens.
And that's why I bring it up. That some people are sensitive because I told this story to hundreds of people. And a good friend of mine goes, do you have to tell them about that? And I go, That's my story.
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of it.
Without it, and I even have something I didn't tell you last night about the story, and it's about peeing. So that's a little tease for you to don't get bored yet, Nick, and other people, please. So I'm telling him no aches and pains, no back pain, walk every day. I'm in pretty good shape, for 60 years old plus, almost 61 now because I took 9 months.
You took so time.
So he goes, well, I got to send you to a nephrologist. And I go, hey, that's fine. But can I get a second opinion? He goes, get as many as you want. I got 4 opinions, all the same.
All the same.
He sends me to the nephrologist. For all of you like me that was stunned, I'm like, who's that? Kidney doctor. Dr. Mendoza was the best. Nice lady, kidney doctor. Asked me the same darn questions every month.
Yeah.
Blood work, still all the same. My kidney function stayed at 15. So she threatened me with dialysis and that each month.
That's harsh.
I could do it at home, but I'm so positive. I'm like, whatever I have to do to stay alive, because I didn't believe I was going to die. I'm a little naive and positive, so I believed that I would live.
There you
and
go.
I believe in God, and prayers help. And after 6 months, I got a little frustrated because, you get to a level, somebody's asking how you're peeing and how you feel, and you feel great.
Yeah.
I had no symptoms. Little sidebar, I joined the Kidney Foundation, and they told me, you're one of the 1 out of 3 Americans that don't know they have chronic kidney disease, CKD. 1 out of 3. Do the simple math. That's 100 million people.
It's a lot.
Get a blood test.
Absolutely.
Some of my older friends, when I've told them that, they go, you scared me. I go, that's the point. Go find out.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, because people, common sense is a rare commodity right now. I know you're on the same page with me.
That is for sure.
My question during COVID was, I have one question to everybody. Where is common sense? Because I'm not seeing it in work, health, everything. And then on science, I just got to give this because it bothers me. I go, what'd you learn in 5th grade in science? Do you remember, Nick, James? You don't remember.
No.
But
not at all.
you were taught things, but guess what happened? All those books that were written changed. You know why?
That's exactly right.
They learn. And that's why I have to bring it up, because common sense would tell you, okay, I see what I was talking about. And then I go, if they tell you one thing today and they research it, it may not be what's possible now, and maybe something improved.
Right.
And I rest my case there. So now, she goes, the plan is, because I go, what's our plan? I asked her the question, will I ever get better? And she goes, no. 1-word answer. How do you get that?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And
exactly.
You're dying. So
no, you're not going to get by getting better. No. That's the one word you didn't want to hear.
No, I wanted to hear, well, we can do this, we can do that. Keep going on, because I figured I'm living. So I go, what's that mean? I had to get all these tests, and it's a little bit humorous. I've shared it with Nick and James, and even Corey is a previous guest. So I had to get EKGs, blood tests, echocardiograms, everything, stress tests. And then they go colonoscopy. And I hate when they
Everybody
tell
loves
you,
signing up for that.
when they tell you have to get something because of the risk over 50. I go, nobody in my family has that. We got heart disease. A grandfather died of a heart attack. My dad died of complications of a heart valve. So other relatives too. And I have some blood pressure, so I'm on that path.
Right.
Although luckily I'm not. I have no heart disease at this time. That's
Excellent.
a good thing.
Well, that's a very good thing.
Yeah. So she goes, we'll get you on the list. I go begrudgingly, get the colonoscopy, talk to the doctor, because who don't I talk to? So he goes, it looks good. We're good. Turn it in. Transplant people get back to me 2 weeks later, call you up. Luckily, I answered the phone because, I don't want to get my car warranty renewed, even though I don't have one. So the warranty. So I call up and I say, this is Alan Levine, and I need to talk to somebody. The nurse remembered me because, I leave an impression. And she goes, I remember you. And why'd you call? I go, I miss you. And she laughed, and she goes, no, why? I go, the doctor and the transplant people there said it was too cloudy. I need the strong stuff. She sent it out the next day. Got a good colonoscopy. Everything's good.
Yes.
Got on the transplant list now.
Okay.
May of 2018.
She went straight on the list.
After I passed all that, there's a waiting period of a month or so.
Sure.
They don't tell you. Here's the crazy stuff, because we're naive about it. We never hear about it. There's over 100,000 people on the list.
Whew.
They don't tell you when you're going to get called. It just comes up because of your blood type, your health, age, different things like that. So I'm on a list with a cadaver, and I found out later a cadaver is good for 14.5 years. A living donor like my son is good for 29.7 years.
Really?
Yeah, and I was never told that because they figure, I couldn't get some relative to do it for me, and I don't want to go to cousins and things like that.
You probably didn't think any of your relatives liked you, though.
Well, no, I know they do, but some are out of state, and they're raising their families, and I got all these excuses.
That's exactly right.
So I figured I'd keep it simple. For all of you, I go by the KISS method in life: keep it simple, stupid. But I cut stupid off, so I just call it KISS. Because I ran into so many people after I got out of the Post Gazette. They go, "You're a nice guy. Why are you calling me stupid?" And I go, "It's like a metaphor. It's like a thing you do.
It's not serious." Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I'm on the transplant list, May of 2018.
Okay.
December, my son lives with me. He's working jobs, 2 men in a truck, working at Sheets.
Sure.
And I didn't want to bother him. Been out of the Navy 3 years, so I didn't ask him for a kidney. And he goes in December, "Hey, Dad, I love you. I don't want to see you wait 6 years or more for a kidney and die on me. I want you to live." He goes, "I'll give you my kidney. I'm 6'1.5", 250. I'm good." I go, "Drew, I love you, but we got to get checked out and checked in. Make sure we talk to the right people." And, bureaucracy, sometimes you slip through the cracks. Well, we had this number, this nurse, that nurse. And a lot of them, there's turnover, went to different departments. It took us 9 months. It was August.
Wow.
It was August of 2019. And we had a standing joke. Every month I go, "Hey, Drew, did you make the call?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "What happened?" They left a message, or they said, "You got to call this person." So this was every month.
Yeah. Just
so I
kick
raised
the can
him to
down
be
the road.
stubborn too. So
Good thing.
yeah, and
Good thing.
and it worked out. My daughter and son saved my life, and
That's
we finally
awesome.
got him in the hospital, and they have to do a 1-day exam, check him psychologically, physically, and they said we got to make sure he has 2 kidneys so he can give you one, and we got to make sure he's a perfect match, which we're both O positive, so that's a good sign going in.
Right.
So they call us like a week later, and they say, "Drew's a perfect match." And I go, "I got one question." I always got a question.
Yeah,
So I go, "I got one question. Does he have 2 kidneys?" She goes, "Oh, yeah. We would tell you that when you come in." I go, "No, I need to know now. I don't want a surprise." So we go in. They go, you got to meet the pharmacist nurse. You got to meet the transplant nurse, and you meet your surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, "Okay, we'll be in for the day," and I'll go in and meet him. Go to the first nurse, pharmacist, and I ask about green tea because we already talked about it. I salute you.
Green tea.
3 cups a day.
No sinus
no
infections.
sinus infections.
I love it.
So I tell my
doing it.
story to the pharmacist nurse. She goes, "Nobody ever asked me that question." I go, "My daughter said I might not be able to drink it." She goes, "Well, hold on. You can talk to Rita, the next nurse." I ask her. She goes, "I don't know. But you're going into Dr. Tivar, my greatest Indian doctor who I'm friends with. And I won't say he's sarcastic and a ball buster like me, but he is.
But he is.
And we hit it off, and I go in, I tell him the same story I've told all of you, so I'm not repetitive. I do remember what I just said a minute ago. Wait, was I talking to Nick or you?
Always talk to Nick.
Okay.
Everybody always talks to Nick.
Okay, so, I pull out my card. In case people don't know, I'm so smooth that, we'll see what Nick does on this.
He's zooming. He's zooming. Nick,
well, he blinked his eyes, so I know it's good. So Dr. Tivar goes to me. We talked 10 minutes. I thought we were cool. He goes, "Al, I think we have a problem." I'm like, "Doc, what could it be?" He goes, "I grew up in Chicago, and I love the Bears." And I just go, "Dr. Tivar, I love the Steelers. I didn't play for them. I watched and enjoyed 6 Super Bowl wins. And I like Ditka when he coached him and stuff like that. You can like whoever you want." He goes, shook my hand. "Okay, we'll be good."
Oh, because you had a black and gold card.
Yeah.
I can't save your life because you're a Steeler fan. You don't like the Bears.
What kind of doctor does it? Now, some doctors are little more cold. But we ended up becoming friends. He's now drinking green tea because of me. And he asked me, he goes, pull out your phone. Let me see your latest meal. I won't bother Nick with that. I do have the latest meal of haddock.
No, the wild caught haddock.
Yeah, wild caught haddock. Thanks for staying tuned to that, James.
See, I pay attention too.
Yeah, so now they tell me we're going to go in there, and they go, you want to get this right away. And it's August. They go, the first day we have is Friday. Dr. Tivar operates on Friday and Wednesday. We got a Friday for you, September 6th. I go, hold on. I worked 36 years in a production department at the Pittsburgh Press and Post-Gazette. I don't want any drunks working on me on Labor Day week. She goes, are you serious? I go, yeah, I know. I don't want any risk. So she goes, okay, let's try the next Friday's Friday the 13th of September 2019. She goes, what about that? That's my lucky day.
There you go.
And she goes, Al, you're something else. I go, we're going to get through this. You do 200 transplants a year.
Right.
I'm pumped up. My son will be pumped up. He was scared to death.
I bet Friday the 13th.
Big guy like that. He goes, why Friday the 13th?
Why?
I told him, and he goes, that's why you're my dad. So he was scared going in that day. And he goes, how are you? And I go, I'm steady like a rock. He goes, aren't you worried? I go, I believe in God.
Okay.
So I'm fearless. I'm saved. I'm good.
Yeah.
And I go, the other thing is they do over 200 transplants. They know what they're doing. We did everything we could, being health-wise and everything else. They even asked me before this, I didn't tell you last night, but I'm sharing it today. They go, we give white blood cells from the donor to liver transplant people, and you could be the first one at kidneys that we do it because it lessens rejection of the kidney. So I said, my mother said I was special. May she rest in peace. I'll do it. And he goes, thank you. So we'll do it. Drew had to go in for an hour to get it in, pull out his white blood cells. Then they mix it up with all kind of stuff. And they have me there for like 5 hours. I have to be there all day. They put it into me before the surgery.
Yeah.
The day before or whatever. So I go through that. They told me it's a 3-hour surgery for you. They go, it's 1 hour for your son. So he goes in at 8. We're both there. My daughter's there. Casey's the best. Drove us in, waited all day, went through all this stuff. So it's 1 hour for him. So they go, he's out. He's doing pretty good. And I go, are you sure? Is he okay? They go, you can't see him. I go, I don't want to see him. Just tell me he's okay. They go, he's so good. His kidney's pumping right now. It's ready for you. So I'm pumped up. And I figure I go in. It's about 9 o'clock. Guess what? I get out at like 6:20 in the evening. I was so whacked out on steroids and anesthesia over 9 hours. Now, you know what a character I am already. So I'm there. I'm in a waiting room with 30 beds by myself, and my daughter's here, and there's a nurse. I go, nurse, was I kidnapped? Where am I? What am I doing here?
Was I kidnapped?
And and I've heard other people have said that because they're whacked out. And I knew I shouldn't have been yelling. I rarely do. And I'm yelling this, and I go again, and my daughter's like, Dad, can you just shut up? Real nice. I go, no. I want to know what happened. And the nurse goes, Mr. Levine, all the rooms were taken, so we have somebody cleaning up your room. It'll be ready shortly. I go, where the heck am I? She goes, this is the waiting room after surgery. I go, why is my right leg numb? She goes, they'll tell you. Well, nobody told me until I went to the room that I had an artery that was dissected and calcified on my right leg. Well, they put, I won't show the scar, but they put it like a hockey stick. It's about a 9-inch scar. They put it in the front. They leave the 2 kidneys in the back. They don't want spaces. So they put it in the front, attach it to the artery. They couldn't. And the doctor told me the next day they had to clamp it and figure out what they were going to do. So they had to get a cadaver, because they have these in storage, thaw it out, cut 6 inches off of my artery. And then they grafted it, and they numbed it from my hip to my ankle. Wow. I was like, I got a catheter in, which I don't want to describe how painful that is. It's painful. And now I got a bum.
Well, we're not going there.
Yeah, I got a bum leg. So I'm telling the nurse, I go, my leg is numb. How do I get a great kidney and my leg's bum. My daughter goes, Dad, please shut up. We don't need to hear this. So now I'm so delirious. My son comes in with his orderly. I'm never mean to anybody. I threw him out. Didn't know till the next day. I told him, don't bother me. Get away from me. I want to get to my room. My son came in the next day. He walked in and saw me. He was doing great. He goes, Dad, you were so mean to my orderly. I go, tell him to come up. I'll apologize. I go, I told him you would apologize. And he did come up, and I did. And I go, I'm so sorry. He goes, well, I understand the circumstances, but your son told me so many great things about you, and you threw me right out. Yeah, so now I'm moving along with this progress. So I get up in the room. It's a nice room. Got a room by myself. I don't know how I rated that, so cool. It's all good. And I make friends. My nurse is a younger guy in his 30s. He's been there 3.5 years. So I impress him so much. He comes in, he has to get blood work, urine every hour. And I'm always ready for him. And he goes, you're the most positive guy. You're asking how I'm doing, and you're telling me you're fine. He came in on his break so we could talk halfway in the shift. So I go, Eric, I got a question. You know me and my questions. So you said I'm peeing a lot. And he goes, yeah. He goes, you're peeing more than anybody I've seen in 3.5 years. I go, what's an average person pee? He goes from 80 to 200 milliliters, and they fill it up. I go, what am I doing? He goes, 5 times that. Me being a sports guy, I go, am I the urine champ? He goes, yes, you're the urine champ. You could tell everybody. So I told everybody on James Protin's podcast. Now I know what it is. And that's what happened. So I'll go a little bit ahead. With the Kidney Foundation, and they had a bill because kidney donors were getting mistreated by insurance companies. So they had a law in the state and federal that they wouldn't be prejudiced because they only have one kidney. What they didn't realize is they're actually in pretty good health, maybe better than an average person.
Right.
And they have one kidney. They passed all the health tests, so they're good. They shouldn't be discriminated against. So this Natalie Mihalik, I was telling her on a phone to support the bill. So she goes, I'll do that. So I was telling her my urine story. And she goes, hey, Al, she goes, we give out awards. Could I use that and say you're the urine champ? And I said, if you come on my show, I want to interview you and thank you personally for helping others like my son. But your office manager, Electra, got to come here and present it to me. She goes, you got a deal. And I talked to her before the show. She was on a Pittsburgh Sportsline pre-show. She goes, my husband wanted to know, what were you talking about urine with this guy? And she had to explain it. So in her own house, we're on a Zoom call, and she's explaining to her husband what the urine story was.
Nice.
Long story short, they come in. I did an early edition of my Pittsburgh Sportsline show, gave her 15 minutes. We're not really allowed to talk politics, but I was talking about her being our state rep here, and she was sponsoring a bill to help others.
She's
like
good people.
my son. Yeah, just a great person.
Yep.
And I go, Electra has to present it to me. So she came in with the award and presented it on my show.
Nice.
Yeah, so who would think things like that would happen? Yeah. And then I wanted to leave after 2 days because I'm setting all these peeing records. I kept saying I'm peeing like a racehorse. I had racehorses.
Yeah.
You have to whistle with the racehorses. Give a little, I'm too dry to whistle. It helps them to pee. I learned it with my racehorses. And so they go, no, you can't get out. And I could hardly walk. And they said, we'll get a PT lady, one of the best young ladies that I met there. Everybody at the hospital had empathy. I made 20 new friends. And she goes,
what hospital? Where'd you have it?
It was Starzl Montefiore. I recommend it highly. Dr. Starzl started these transplants.
He's the guy.
The nurses and the staff have so much empathy and caring that with my positivity, they were all saying, you're like the most positive guy in here. Eric was telling me one lady threw him out of the room, and he goes, I can't leave. I'm here to save your life. I said, that's why I appreciate you. He goes, no, you were putting your arms ready for blood pressure and blood. He goes, we're good, you know, and you kept asking me about all the pee. I'm filling up these containers. And so we got through all that, but the third day.
Stay tuned, folks, because we haven't gotten to the pooping part yet.
Yeah, we're getting there.
That's
that's what it is. So they're going, your son. Well, first the PT. I started to walk with a walker, which was so disgusting to me. It was frustrating.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
I walk every day. I'm in good shape.
Yeah, right.
And the knee would go out. She goes, well, here, try to walk. So she goes, I'll do a light wrap. She did a very light wrap just to keep it from bending.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, we'll walk slow. She goes, I could tell you're a go-getter. Go slow. So I'm there, and we walk like halfway down the hall. And she goes, how are you doing? I go, I'm good. You want more? She goes, not today. It's the first time. So we do that, walk back. When I had to go to the bathroom, I had to use a walker. I couldn't poop the whole time because being on anesthesia and steroids, I had gas. I had issues. I called Eric on a few false alarms. He goes, anytime you need me, just call. I go, how many people do you got? He goes, I got a full floor with like 30 people because I kept hearing his name.
Yeah.
He goes, but I'll come to you first. And he did. And on that day, all my blood work, all my labs, my urine labs have been perfect. The kidney function was perfect. Everything's
awesome.
like successful. It's all, like a miracle. It's better.
Yeah.
They're like, it's better than we even thought. You're doing even better.
Yeah.
So I'm like, can I get out? And they go, no, you got to poop. I go, I got to go. I got to get out of here. They go, we usually don't let you go. I said, talk to Dr. Tivar. So he came in. And he goes, if you don't poop in a day or so, then you're going to have to come back in. But eat prunes, do whatever you can.
Whatever it takes.
I take X-Lax. I took everything. I couldn't poop. I mean, and here I'm home and being a natural rule breaker, I'm cool with this. And they go, I had an appointment scheduled for that Friday or whatever after. And they go, we're going to send you to the poop nurse.
Nice. How you get to be the poop nurse? That's huge.
So she's one of the most beautiful nurses I saw there. And I'm embarrassed, like, oh, get out. And I go, I'm embarrassed. And she goes, no, this is what I do. She goes, I am the poop nurse. I'll get you to poop no matter what. She goes, you got to. How's
that a thing?
She goes, you got to drink a 2-liter bottle of all this stuff. Can you do it? I go, for you, I'll do it. I'm drinking it, and I'm halfway there. She goes, you good? I go, I got more. So I get the whole thing in, and I figured I'd poop instantly, right? It's about an hour later, and I go, I got to poop. They have a bucket and a chair, and I let out an explosion, and she goes, you may have more.
You see this is what getting old is all about, Nick. See what you have to look forward to? Think about this. You'll be an old guy sitting around with a buddy talking about peeing and pooping. That's what we do.
Yeah, and sports.
And sports, yeah. Because that's all we got left.
Yeah, so I went a couple times, got out, and we're all good. And she's checking all my blood work and stuff. And she goes, hey, Al, we might have a problem. Your white blood cell count is way off the charts. And I go, hey, poop nurse, did you look at my file? I forget her name. I just recall the poop nurse, beautiful dark-haired lady. And I go, check my file because my son, the donor, gave white blood cells like they do with liver transplants, and I'm the first kidney transplantee to get it. She looked at it and she goes, you're fine. They're working. I go, great day. So I get out, and I couldn't drive for a couple of weeks, so I missed one show. So
had a kidney transplant and missed one show.
So because I got out on that, what was it, Wednesday, and I had to do the show on Tuesday, and I still couldn't really drive. I was on pain meds because they cut you a 9-inch scar.
Yeah.
So my director and 3 other producers filled in for me to keep my streak alive.
There you go.
And it's an 11-year streak that I haven't missed a Tuesday night show.
That is cool.
And they did a show honoring me, so thanks to all of them.
That is awesome, man.
They just did great. So those are the great things that happen. And I was doing this Joey Fabus 5K 1-mile run, though. And Joey Fabus, he's an 8-year-old child that died of brain cancer, DIPG. I end every show with "Stay Joey Strong." That's her catchphrase.
Okay.
And I interviewed the superheroes because they dress up in costumes.
Yes.
And that's
familiar.
the biggest fundraiser for the Joey Fabus Cancer
so cool.
Foundation. And the parents I'm friends with, they're my heroes. That's their second child they lost.
Oh, my God, I didn't know that.
And they've raised over $100,000 to find a cure. And this Dr. Gary at Children's Hospital said they're on the right path to find a cure. So I'm helping them
that is
network
awesome.
and fundraise.
That is awesome.
So there's good things out there.
So, but we had talked, and I know you had a great relationship with your mom and dad, and what I'd like to know is how did you get from to the press, to the Post? Well, it was the press then. It's Post Gazette now.
You could say Pittsburgh Press.
But that was huge back in that day. The Pittsburgh Press was a major national newspaper. That was huge.
Yeah, I estimated they made like $300 or $400 million in revenue a year.
Wow.
So
that's
and now they're into losing money every day.
Well, newspapers are dying.
Yeah,
sadly,
how I got
sadly,
there,
they're dying.
let me do a little bit about where I'm born, where I went
Go
to
ahead.
school
Yes.
with,
Yes.
and then what happened with college. Because I tell people I'm an uneducated man because it disarms them, and they go, "No, you know things. Your knowledge is valuable. You don't need those degrees." I go, "Thank you very much for the person that has 4 degrees." But, hence my uneducated. Okay, I was born June 30th, 1956. My grandmother had a house at 105 Pride Street. My mother and dad had been married recently and were living there.
Okay.
And it's right across the street from Mercy Hospital. So I was born there. For all the people, that's the Lower Hill District.
Yes.
And, all the communities were there, from Jewish people, Polish, Hungarian, Black, you name it. They all lived there.
It was a melting pot.
Was
True melting pot.
True melting pot.
Yep.
Because we'd go back after I was born for the next 12 years till the riots, when it got all screwed up, and then the Civic Arena was in, and just messed up the neighborhoods. It wasn't the same. But we'd go to the Jewish clothing stores. One of the names sticks in my name. I know this name, my friend. Resnick's. They had a clothing store.
Okay.
Now, I have 3 sisters. 4 of us were born in 5 years. My mother was the best. My sister next is 14 months. The next one's 3 years, and my baby sister's 5 years. So there's 4 of us in 5 years.
Yeah.
I got all the height. They're only 5 foot tall. And my dad's side of the family, I'll give this little side story before we get deep. He told me he was 5'10". When he was 70 years old, my mother had passed away in '88 due to complications of Alzheimer's, so he was alone. And I go, "Let's clean out some of your drawers and stuff." He had papers and stuff, being a referee and clippings.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Things like that. So I get a drawer, and I'm real anal on doing a drawer at a time. He brings 2 in. I go, "Dad, stop. Just get your stuff ready and wait." So I'm going through a drawer. I find his Army card from 1950. He's 19 years old, and he's 5'7". So I go, "Dad, he's in the other room." This is 25 feet away. We're in a small ranch house. He's in his bedroom. I go, "Dad, you told me you never lied to me. You lied to me about your height." He goes, "Alan, I never lied to you." "What do you mean?" I go, "I'm looking at your military card, 1950, 19 years old, 5'7". I go, "What's up with that? You lied." He goes, "I didn't." I go, "What's the story?" He goes, "I'm shrinking." That's my dad. That's what I had to grow up with.
Yeah, there you go.
So we lived there for a year in the Hill District, moved to Oakland. Then when I was 2, we moved to Greentree.
Okay.
We were at, I always call it 123 Park Edge Road. It was parallel to Parkway West, or 376, 3 miles from downtown Pittsburgh. We had fun as kids watching the cars on the Parkway in the 60s. That was our entertainment.
That was entertainment.
And then with the windows being bad, we'd put quarters in the window so it'd melt, and then we could see out. So we did that. And so we grew up there, went to Keystone Oaks. I tell this story. You didn't know about this, but I thought I walked a mile to my school. It was called Manila Avenue. So my kids are like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. There's 3 years difference between Casey and Drew. I go to my dad's house, who still lived at 123 Park Edge Road. So we go there, and I go, "When we leave, I'm going to see how far it is from Dad's house to Manila." I go up, put the odometer on. It was a half a mile, all uphill.
All up.
Going, but coming back, it was all downhill. That's why I thought it was a mile. Little Alan had to walk up. We had snow and everything in the 60s. It was terrible. 70s,
It hasn't snowed since the 60s. We had a lot more snow in the 60s.
Right. Well, even in the 70s, when I get to the Pittsburgh Press, we had snowball fights and streets weren't cleaned in the evening and when we worked at night, so it was like a winter wonderland.
Yeah.
And they told us we were having an ice age. Now we got climate change, which we're not. We're having a desert. We're running out of water everywhere but Pittsburgh.
Everywhere but here.
But so now I'm growing up and I like sports. Started playing baseball.
Okay.
First team I was on in minor league was the Pirates. I got a Pirates T-shirt. So now I'm in Little League, and I got to tell this little claim to fame. I had a pretty good arm, always had a good arm. So I'm out in center field. It's our last game. I'm 11 years old. I throw the ball in from center field to home plate. After the game, the coach goes, "Hey, Alan, that was a heck of a throw. I know you can throw. Would you want to pitch?" He goes, "We're losing pitchers." I go, "I never thought about pitching, Coach. I just like playing and, having fun." He goes, "Would you try?" Me, I'm always up for trying.
Sure.
So I try it, and the next year, my cousin, who was 5'5", was a great pitcher in the Army and locally went to Shenley. And he was a fraternal twin. I got to share this. My dad's family's short. So my cousin, he's like 13 years older than me, Victor, he's 5'5". His fraternal twin, Elliot's like 5'9", 200 pounds. He's a big guy, and he's a catcher. That's like perfect.
He's a catcher, yeah.
So Victor taught me how to follow through and use your body and not hurt your arm.
Okay.
Guess what? I ended up averaging 2 strikeouts an inning of the other guys, pitched 2 no-hitters, was 7-1. When I lost the one game, I cried. We were co-champions. I was on the Reds team. So I had a great reputation in Greentree as a tough pitcher, and you got to watch him. Because everything I threw was hard, and I practiced 5-6 times a week. I didn't worry back then about your arm going bad.
No, yeah, nobody
just
didn't
pitched
think about that.
all
There were
the
no
time.
pitch counts. There was no pitch
none.
counts.
And then I'd pitch batting practice, and guys would go to the coach. They go, "Get Al out of there." And he goes, "Why?" He goes, "We can't hit him." He goes, "That's why I want him in there." So that's stuck in my mind. I was a shy boy, so having some success at baseball opened up my personality. My dad was the life of the party. Wherever he went, he was a jokester. He told stories, even better than mine, because they were true.
They were true.
Yeah, and he was a great dancer and a basketball referee, and he could dance every dance because his sisters took him to the Crawford Grill, Hurricane. They were 5-6 years older than him, so they're teenagers. They didn't want the guys hitting on them, so they took my dad. He's a young, teenager going up with his sisters.
Right.
So he could do it. Then as a referee, you've all heard of George Couples, right?
Yeah,
Couples
sure.
Stadium.
Sure.
Guess who called our house? George Couples. Now, I'm a young kid, so I'm the oldest. I could answer the phone. They taught me, who is this, and, who do you want to talk to? So I go, "Who is it?" He goes, "George Couples. I need to talk to your dad." I yell, "Dad, George Couples, hold that phone. I'll be right there." He was the athletic director of the City League. He was booking him for games in the city, and he had championship City League games, which I went to one of them.
Yeah.
What an experience as a kid.
Oh, my God,
Meeting some of the greatest athletes, Jeep Kelly, Marquise Lucas, and all these other players, and Macklin, and all these guys that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And it was just an awesome experience. So I have the love of sports. And my uncle was still playing softball in his 60s, doing well. And he played basketball at our Manila gym. They would ask me to come up, and I go, "I'm not going up there," because he throws so hard he'd break your fingers or hit you in the face, because he'd do a no-look pass. And he was so good. Myron Cope on his talk show would talk about my uncle. He goes, "Shmuley Levine is the best basketball player in Pittsburgh. He's like Bob Cousy of the Celtics." So I heard that my whole life.
Yeah.
So I didn't play basketball except when I was young. I didn't want my dad refereeing calling fouls on me. So I played football, started playing football, 9th grade, was like a guard, a center, and I got the punt. Then finally I was like the second-string center on the freshman team. They had a real good center, came in from one of the Catholic schools. Well, sophomore year, I beat him out, so I was starting on the JV team. And to show you how quiet I was, my friends are all sophomores and they're starting. Rich DeMeo, Bill Russo, Rich Proy, Bob Canduso, all these guys. And the coach, Coach Mancini, they call him Muns, he goes, I don't know who you are. And I go, I'm Al Levine. He goes, I never heard you say anything or whatever. What position do you play?
What position?
And I go, I play center. I go, and he goes, well, you got to speak up a little bit. So that's what got me speaking.
There
so
you go.
I meet Coach Mancini and his wife at the Rivers Casino about 9-10 years ago, and they're coming out of the elevator. I'm leaving. And I go, oh, hey, Muns, nice to meet you. I go, here's my wife, introduces her. And I go, Mrs. Mancini, I got to tell you something. Your husband inspired me. I told that story.
Yeah.
And I go, that's why I'm doing a show called The Talking Machine. He helped inspire me. And he's like, no, I didn't. But we had such a good rapport with our coaches and stuff.
Yeah,
we still
that's a
meet.
blessing.
We still go back.
That's a blessing.
And we have 30 years of different players and even
Yeah.
younger kids now, because I've had some of them on my show.
Sure,
And
sure.
it's cool stuff. So my great coach, Coach Murray, he went to W&J. He tried to get
Okay.
us into W&J. He was trying to push us. I got all these offers from Allegheny, Westminster, CMU, even went to CMU, and they had a luncheon, and I like liver. So I go, could I have a liver meal? And they go, what is this guy crazy? And I'm with one of my friends. So I had liver and onions. So now a friend of mine, the same friend that went to CMU, we go to Juniata, and a good friend of mine, Chip Bartlett, was one of the starting center.
Okay.
He had sold me my paper route. I had a Post-Gazette paper route, had to get up 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, jeez.
I bought the route by working for him a month before I turned 12. You had to be 12 to own it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was my payment. He had 60 customers, and it was a 1.5 mile route that I had to walk. And I was delivering the papers, so I was learning to talk. I asked people to get the paper. I doubled it to 128, and I did it. And then I ended up selling it to his brother in my freshman year or sophomore year of high school, because I couldn't do it with football and
Sure.
everything else.
Sure.
So I sold that. So he took us, the campus, got to see the parties, stayed over, and talked to the coaches. I was ready to sign and go to Juniata. They accepted me. My mother did all the work for it, and I'm good to go.
Right.
Play small college football as a center
It's
at
a great
Juniata.
deal, yeah.
Yeah, never thought about anything else. Guess what? I graduate first week of June. My dad goes, Alan, when you turn 18 on June 30th, you could work part-time in the mailing room. That was the production department. Put
Okay.
the comics together, stack bundles, put supplements together, inserts, everything.
Yeah.
And he goes, Saturday night at 10 o'clock, you can work. We put out the Sunday paper. We start earlier and do it. And I go, that's interesting. I'm thinking my dad got 4 kids, a cat, a dog, a car, a mother, and a house. I go, what will I make? He goes, you make what I make. Our part-timers, it's called a son's list. To all of you know, nepotism's illegal now. 1974.
It used to be a thing. Yeah.
It
was a
was
thing.
legal.
It was a thing.
Everybody was related. They didn't test you for anything. All you had to do is have a birth certificate that's your name.
That's exactly
And I won't tell you the quality of people we had, but we had from mentally challenged to drug issues, alcoholic issues, uneducated, and we had guys with multiple degrees. We had accountants. We
Yeah.
had different educated people, teachers.
Yeah.
You name it, they all work there. So I'm in this mishmash. And I've told you I'm a natural rule breaker. It's 10 o'clock at night. The chairman, Fred, goes, Al, don't sign in. I'm like, Fred, I'm here to work. He goes, I know. He goes, you can't sign in till midnight because you turn 18 then. So I'm like, what kind of place is this? There's 120 people there. There's papers piled up all over the place. If you lit a match and there's guys smoking back then, I'm like, you could have a fire. And I'm sitting there just waiting, minding myself. A couple guys introduced themselves. They go, hey, we're working with you because of your dad. We'll show you around, and he can help out too. And I go, oh, that's cool. So midnight, I'm allowed to work. I start working. And I don't know if they're busting my balls. I'm lifting papers up, putting them on a moving belt. It's moving down there. You got to put the paper on straight. Make sure it goes in the strapping machine, which is wire. And I'm doing a good job watching it, and you move it out every half hour. Hence, I know time. Like Nick knows, I understand time. We already did about 20 minutes right now. How am I doing? He shook his head.
Oh, yeah. He said, you even got him to smile.
I know.
Listen, that's impressive.
Hey, I got those skills.
You definitely do.
If you need to know, I say I'm that guy. When Bruce Willis said he's that guy in a movie, I go, I'm that guy. And you see why. I get people to do stuff and, things like that. We even took a break in here.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So we got that covered.
You're talking about peeing. What do you? I'm old.
Right.
That's what happens.
Right. I had to bring it up again because we went 20 minutes without it. Darn it. So now they're saying that you could get hired. And I go, I'm 40th on the list. I just signed in. I know that. I'm a kid right out of high school. Guess what? You're not fooling me. And they go, no, you're number 2 on the list. Your uncle and all those other guys turned down working here full time like your dad and we work. And some of them are like 25, 28, 30. They're talking to me, and they go, you may get hired December or January. So I go to the chairman. I go, hey, Fred, are you hiring in December or January? He goes, Al, you're going to be working here. So what better endorsement do you need than that?
Yeah.
So I find out I make what my dad makes. I'm going to get hired. I break my mother's heart the next day. I go, Mom, I'm going to work at the press. I'm not going to Juniata. She goes, Alan, all that work I did, we got you there. We got financing. You got grants. You get some money. You got this. I go, Mom, I can get educated anytime I want here or whatever. I'll be making what Dad makes. She goes, he never told me this. And I go, he never told me. Look, I just found out on my birthday. Yeah. So January 6, 1975, I got in full time. You talk about all the drafting, all the accelerated classes. Guess where it went? Garbage can. I didn't use it. That's why I was a round peg in a square hole.
Right.
So now I'm there 4 years. They had already done a contract or whatever.
Okay.
And there's an election coming up. And I'm at night turn. There's only like 40 guys at night, 160 on daylight. So I'm talking with 5 or 6 guys because, they like listening to my stories. And I go, man, this guy running for scale committee is dumb as could be. I won't mention his name in case he's still alive. And I go,
Gary, if he is, he's watching this show.
Oh,
we know that.
James Protin
we know that.
podcast.
If he's alive, he's watching right now.
We know on YouTube. I know YouTube. So I'm just saying that out loud, and they go, hey, Al, you got brains and balls. We'll vote for you. I go, well, I don't want to run. I've only been here 4 years.
Yeah.
And they go, you know enough. Look at the jobs you've done. Look at what you've done here. You've worked. You work right with us. You're good. We'll vote for you. So there's a guy in his 30s. He goes, here's what you got to do. Go in on daylight, shake everybody's hand, tell them you can do the job, and if they taught you something, tell them, hey, you taught me how to do this job. And just go that. He said, I'll vote for you. Go shake everybody's hands. Start tonight.
Okay. Start tonight.
So I start shaking guys' hands, said I'm running. I get up early the next day for 9 o'clock shift. I go in just cold, and I start talking to guys. I didn't know some of their names, not because I forgot them. They were called Ghost, Big Ass Al,
Big Ass
Pep,
Al.
Shook, all these different names.
Sure.
So I go up to a couple.
That's a Western PA thing. We're nickname people.
Oh, look at the talking machine.
Exactly.
So I'm there talking to these guys, and some are in their 70s, some are in their 80s. And I talk to the first guy, and he goes, who are you? And I go, I'm Saul's son. I'm Al Levine. And he goes, you're just a young punk. What do you want to do that job? And I go, didn't you show me about the manifest and stacking bundles on a skid? He goes, yeah. So I go, how did I do? He goes, you did great. I go, that's what I'll do upstairs. So I started telling everybody those little stories.
So all of a sudden you're campaigning.
Yeah, I went right in it. I got everybody there, and the next day I had to go again because some guys were off. So I got the schedule because I was smart enough to get the schedule with who I missed. I shook everybody's hand. We had the election in May, and I won the election at 22 years old to start negotiating contracts.
Wow. That's sweet.
I was the youngest in the union at that time. Our union was founded in 1926 or something. So I was the youngest ever to negotiate a contract. I did so well, they asked me back again 5 more times. And the last one was 2010. The Post-Gazette showed us the books, showed they were losing $22 million a year. I took a buyout because my guys, sad to say, I can't mention their names, they were giving up stuff before the time was right. And they go, who do you think you are? I go, I was up there. You don't give until the time's right. And they just didn't have the mentality of a warrior like I did. And you got to battle it. So I took a buyout and left. not knowing what I would do, and I stunned my union. Even the one lady, I'll mention her name, Lisa Herm. She was in charge of a lot of the facilities, like a general manager. And she goes, "Hey, Al, I learned more from you negotiating a contract than I have 10 years up here with my other people." I go, "Well, they're all liars, and they're trying to manipulate us. So that's why." She goes, No. If you need a recommendation with a job or anything out of here, because you are leaving. I said, "I'm getting out of here. I'm like one of the rats leaving the ship. This ship is sinking."
It's sinking and I'm out.
Yeah, and we can't, from Toledo, the Blade, they're sending money here still to keep them afloat. They're not afloat on their own.
Right.
So I had to get out of there, but I didn't know what I'd do. People were going, "You just know unions. You don't know anything." I go, "I've been an entrepreneur my whole life." And this is where my entrepreneur story comes in. Right before I got in at the Post-Gazette, and as I was getting in, I turned 18. And I'd read comic books. I'd read all kind of books. I didn't care. And there was an advertisement for a product, a blue toilet cleaner, one of the first out, called Toil Ease, Toilease. I'm like, hey, that's cool. If my mother and sisters don't have to clean both our toilets, we're good. So I figured I'd buy a gross, and it's like 144 cases of it because you get the best price. James, I got the price down as an entrepreneur to $0.25. So I was selling them for $2.50. My dad went out of his mind. We had an elongated garage, and we had all kind of junk there. And I told him, I got 144 cases. He goes, "Alan, where are you going to put it?" I go, "In your garage." He goes, "Oh, we don't have room." I go, "We do now. I cleaned out all the stuff you haven't done for 20 years. And he's going like, the truck came. I unloaded them all from stacking bundles. I did it all myself. I go, "I don't even need your help, Dad." So I put them all in there, and he goes, "What are you going to do?" I said, "My buddy George and I are going to sell them. He's in Castle Shannon, and I'm here." I go, I sold papers here and had a paper route." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Do the people like me and give me all kind of gifts?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "For $2.50, you don't think they'll buy something that'll make their toilet cleaning easier?" He goes, "No."
No.
Because he goes, "All I know is what I do is work in a referee." He would study his rule book. Coaches would call him. Referees would call for his interpretation.
Right.
That's how precise he was.
Yes.
And he goes, "Hey, this is on you." He goes, "You paid for this." I think I paid like $400 some or something. I go, "Yeah." And I took a case or two out the first day. I sell them all. I keep doing it each day. Finally, I was out of my neighborhood. And my dad goes, "What are you going to do?" I go, "We got any other people in Greentree?" Because your dad's busted your balls, so I got to do it back.
Yeah.
So I asked George how he's doing. I go, "You need some help in Shannon?" He goes, "Yeah, if you want to come out." I'm hitting the streets with him. We're separating. We're selling 2 streets at a time. And finally, I'm over halfway through, 3/4 there. I got thousands in my pocket now. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
You're selling something for $2.50.
That you bought for $0.25.
Yeah. So I'm in the money. I've more than made my money, and I'm down to about 30 cases, and I'm just selling them intermittently because now I'm working at the Post-Gazette.
Yeah.
I'm making bigger money, and I got still them there, and my dad's picking on me like every week about it. Whenever he take garbage out and get the cans, he goes, "What are these damn boxes still doing there?" Finally, I get down to 3-4 boxes. He goes, "What about that?" I go, "Do you think Mom uses these when they come up after every month?" I said, "I got her for the next couple years." He goes, "Alan, you're unbelievable." So when people talk about entrepreneurs, who has a toilet bowl cleaner story like that?
Exactly.
At 18.
Exactly.
At 18.
At 18.
So these are part of why I need a book. These are only a few different chapters.
Well, and let me tell you something. And we could sit here and talk all day. I mean, it's like, and I
you
love
just tell me when I'm done, and I'll hit a period. Nick, tell me that.
Where we at, Nick?
We're right at like 1:30.
How did I know?
So we're gonna hit the period now. But listen,
Yes.
my friend, thank you for coming. I appreciate you, man. Listen, like I said, we can sit here and talk all day, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll continue it on your show, and we'll have a good time.
Well, no. Here, I got to explain this to all of them.
Okay.
Rarely do I talk about myself in short little blips of stories. James pulled it all out of me at once, 2 nights in a row, last night and then today. And what I want to share is he's going to be on my Talking Machine show September 14th. It's only a 29-minute show. It's in the studio.
It's
we got
perfect.
everything. It'll be about you.
Uh-oh. I don't know. That's pretty
Now,
scary.
I'm digging deep on that because you got a great story with what you've overcome and what you do
I
and how
appreciate
you
that.
treat people
I appreciate
and being
it.
positive, and you're always boosting people up. That's why we're friends on Facebook.
It is, yeah, no, it is, and I think that's, you listen, you attract what you put out there. It comes back to you, right?
I believe it. I'll share
Because
this
you're the same
with
way. You're the same way. You get it.
Right, and we're just brothers from another mother.
That's true.
And,
That's very true.
And I've cut family and friends out because I call them life suckers. And I can't be any more honest than that.
No, it's
because
true.
Don't
It's
you
very
feel
true.
like with me, you're not tired. How
Right.
about these other people? You're actually energized because I know I can pump you up. But other people, I'd walk away and I'd be like, man, I got to rest.
Well, listen.
What happened here? But not today.
Normally, Nick
I'm
would
ready
be
to
asleep
go.
by now.
Let me finish this.
Nick would be asleep by now normally because he doesn't really pay attention. Nick doesn't really like doing this. I think his mom forces him to do it.
Understand.
Because we're friends. His mother and I worked together for over 20 years.
Ah, nice.
Oh yeah. So we're friends, and I think.
I appreciate the nepotism.
See, I knew you would. Right. So
And this is what year? 2022.
22. Right. See, you thought it was dead.
Yeah.
You thought it was dead.
48 years ago,
See?
brother.
I worked with his mother. and
48.
She said, I'll give you a pass to take some time and do the podcast as long as, it's part of the package.
That's a deal.
It's a sweet deal. Yeah, it is a sweet deal. Although he makes me work, right?
Well,
Makes me work.
he's
I have
young.
to-
He's young. We're old. We
I have
take
to
that.
unload and load all of this equipment. I got to move the car around. I got to park his car.
No
You know,
way.
Oh,
he
yeah,
doesn't
yeah, yeah.
parallel park well.
No. You know what he does? He'll pull up in front. We'll unload it, and then he'll go. You want to go park? He gives me the keys. Want to go park the car? Wow. Oh yeah. I'm like his valet.
I'm glad
Yeah.
we had this little ending here.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
'cause
nice
it's-
and casual. We're doing it smooth.
It is.
And I'll get the second handshake.
I appreciate
I
you,
was
brother.
honored to be here.
Oh, we were
Thank
honored
you
to
so
have you
much.
here. We're honored
Thank
to
you.
have you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.